Hi, welcome to Pet Talks TV. This is your family's talk show about pets where nothing is too petty for us to talk about when it comes to your pets. So come join our community of pet lovers, subscribe to our channel, support our advocacy, allow us to entertain you, and hopefully even inspire you. We are live on Facebook and YouTube on the first and third Saturday of the month, 5 o'clock Philippine time. We're also on Instagram. If you're watching this in a replay, just go ahead, move the video forward. My name is Tita Me. If you don't know, that means Tita Meow because I love cats, but it doesn't mean we talk about cats only. We talk about other animals also and other issues. And if you just missed that, our topic for today is about Emily Carveth's work as a veterinary social worker in Your Vet Knows Your Pet Woes. What is a veterinarian? Or, no, not a veterinarian, but a veterinary social worker. Those two things are different. A veterinary social worker is a member of the veterinary team who helps humans with their relationships with animals. Veterinary social work focuses on four main areas: grief and bereavement, compassion fatigue, connection between human and animal violence, and animal assisted interventions. Now, Emily Carveth, as I said, is on Connecticut, USA. She's a full time veterinary social worker at the Central Hospital for Veterinary Medicine. She earned her Master's of Social Work from the Fairfield University. She's currently enrolled in the Veterinary Social Work Certificate Program through the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Now, she is also a digital creator and she is dedicated to supporting the well being of both clients and staff. She is well loved by her family, and see here, she is best of all fur mom to her cat, Roland. Isn't that exciting? She is a fur mom herself. So, friends, are you excited? I am so excited to learn about veterinary social work. What do they do? What kind of help can they give? Like when your cats or your dogs or your pets get sick, do you get sicker than them? Then you might need help from your veterinary social worker. So, friends, let's all welcome none other than Emily Carveth. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, how are you today?
I'm very well. I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, okay. So I'm so glad that you're able to finally make it because, I know you're so busy and we've been trying to do this for like 2 months, right?
Yes,
And finally,
yes.
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that finally you're here and you
hmm
seem to be a very active, very energetic, very bubbly person, and I can't, I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to sit down with you face to face and talk to you some more.
Yes,
So Emily,
definitely.
yeah, Emily, I just like to ask because earlier I googled this obviously, and I
hmm
read about the things that a veterinary social worker does. But
hmm
in your own words, can you explain to us what do you actually do if you're a veterinary social worker? I get tongue tied.
That's totally okay. So I'm a veterinary social worker that works inside of a veterinary hospital, and I always describe it as I'm there to support the humans that accompany
Okay.
pets. So
Mm-hmm.
that can mean working with both the staff of the veterinary hospital, like the veterinarians, the veterinary
Oh,
nurses,
yes.
and then also the clients of our hospital, the pet owners. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my role is as a counselor for the staff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Veterinary medicine's a really stressful profession. There's a lot that we see every day that can be very difficult. It's hard to see
Wow.
pets sick and in pain, and so sometimes the staff has a lot to talk to me about, or they'll just come to
Oh.
talk to me about whatever's going on in their life. And if I can help them with that and that makes their work life better, then that's great. I feel like I'm doing my job. Um,
Mm.
and then for the clients of the hospital, a lot of times I'm like a short-term counselor for them, especially when their pets are nearing the end of their life.
Oh, that's
Or
sad.
yeah, it can definitely some owners just need extra support when their pets are really sick and maybe the end of their life is close. Such a happens. That's what I'm there for.
Mm, yes. So we don't realize that, like, talking to you, I just begin to think that the people that are really taking care of sick pets, they need help too, right? They need help.
Mhm.
Oh,
They
that's such
do.
a beautiful vocation. That's just such a beautiful work that you have there. Emily, my one of my other questions is, when people go to your facility or to your hospital, do they immediately know that they can talk to you as the social worker, as the veterinary social worker? Do you, because here in our country, I have not really gone to a major hospital. The hospitals
Mhm.
are small. I'm going to show some pictures of your hospital there. Like,
Uh-huh.
like, do you actually have these machines? Like, you have that machine? It's a
Yes.
it's a that's a, what do you call that?
Um,
Is it MRI or CT scan? What is it?
yep, we
The
have a
one on the
CT.
bottom left.
Oh, yes, we do have a CT scanner in the hospital.
Oh,
I
uh-huh.
think we also have an MRI machine. We just don't have a neurologist on staff right now, so we're not using that at the moment, but we definitely do CT scans every day at the hospital. So if you think about it like a human hospital that you would go to, we
Mm-mm,
basically
mm-mm,
have the same type of equipment that would be used to treat a person. We probably have
mm-mm,
it. Um,
mm.
Something also really special about our hospital is we're one of the few hospitals in the United States that has what's called a hyperbaric oxygen tank.
What is
And
that?
so that is where the pet is inside. It kind of looks like a scuba tank.
Oh,
If
this one.
people are familiar with that. Um,
Mm-mm.
and it allows for pressurized oxygen to be inside. I'm probably not explaining it super well, but it
I kind of
actually,
understand.
yeah, it helps with things like pets that have arthritis or joint
Mm-hmm.
discomfort, and it can also help with wound healing too.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it's a really
Really
interesting piece of
advanced.
equipment. Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
advanced, I think, right?
Yep.
So what's this, like, water like tank
Oh, yep. That is our
at the
underwater
bottom right?
treadmill. It's a
Yes.
treadmill for dogs, and water, is very cushioning on the joints. So we have a
Mm,
whole rehabilitation department for animals, so pets that have been injured or are suffering from arthritis or just have had their mobility affected in some way can really benefit from an
mhm.
underwater treadmill and the other equipment that we have. It's kind of like if you go see a physical therapist, and that we're sort of like a physical therapist for dogs. And I think cats
Wow.
sometimes, but mostly dogs.
Wow. Wow. That's so amazing. That's a
Mhm.
real hospital for pets.
Yep.
Are
Yep.
the veterinary hospitals similar there in the US? I'm not aware. Do they really, or you're a cut above the rest where you are working?
There's lots of different hospitals like ours through the United
Mm-hmm.
States, and then there's also hospitals that we call like general practice or primary care veterinarians that basically are like
Mm,
a typical veterinary clinic where you to
I
see
see.
pets for routine medicine and care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
But people come to us for in emergencies and then to see our specialists. And I would say there's like when I think about Connecticut where I live, there's 4 or 5 hospitals like us in the state. And it just depends on the
Mhm.
state that you live in, how many hospitals like us. Also, the veterinary schools in the United States have large hospitals like ours.
Wow. Really so advanced. So
Mhm.
it just goes to show how much people love pets, their animals
Mhm.
there in the US. So they, like for people to really seek out a hospital as advanced as yours,
Mhm.
that's gonna be you're going to be a solution to those that are really very devastated about the
Mhm.
sickness or the accidents that their pets may have, because here in our country, like, there are many dogs that some, not many, but there are, yeah, there are quite several cases when a dog gets hit on the road and then sometimes
Mhm.
they're just left to die. So
Mhm.
it's really very heartbreaking.
Yep.
So, what are, like, before I ask you about stories
Uh-huh.
or personal experiences that have shocked you in your work, I'd like
Sure.
to ask you, when you were young, did you think of being a veterinary social worker?
When I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian. That was like what I always dreamed of being. And then my life took me some different places. And
Mm-hmm.
I was a veterinary assistant and a veterinary technician before I went into social work. So I worked in veterinary hospitals for
I
about
see.
15 years or so
Wow.
before I started
Wow.
my social work program. So this was
Mm-mm.
always an area of social work that I was really interested in because I felt like it was like coming back to my people then that I was very
Mm-mm.
familiar with. So I only found out about veterinary social work about 3 or 4 years ago when I was thinking about making a career change and becoming a therapist. And so it
Mm-mm.
seemed like the best way to combine my interest in animals and veterinary medicine with my interest in people and counseling. It's an
Oh,
interesting combination of all of those things.
yeah, that's the perfect package. Your love for animals and your love for people. Exactly,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what do you think are the qualifications of a person to become a veterinary social worker? Is it only skill? What in you do you think are the signs that I'm gonna make a good social worker, veterinary social worker?
That's a
What
great
what what are
question.
the characteristics? Yes.
I think you have to be just as a social worker, you have to be very empathetic towards
Mm,
people.
mm,
It really helps if you have that ability to picture in your mind or sense in your body what another person might be going through. So you
mm,
have to
mm,
have a lot of compassion for people and animals that are struggling. What else? Those are really the big ones, and you also have to
mm,
be curious about what people are going through, like, you need to be willing to ask questions and find out more
mm,
information about
mhm,
people, because sometimes you're just hearing the little tip of the iceberg, and then as you ask more questions, you get more of the full picture of what's really going on with that pet owner and that pet family.
mm.
I think also to be in veterinary medicine specifically, you have to have a sense of humor because veterinary
Really?
folks are typically very funny and it can be
Really?
kind of dark humor sometimes because it helps us get
Oh,
through the hard times at the
yeah.
hospital. Um, so people can be very like sarcastic and hilarious and can make
Mm,
like dark jokes, but it really is all about like helping each other get through the tough stuff.
mm,
So I always say that veterinary medicine folks are some of the funniest people I've ever met
mm,
and some of the
mm,
kindest people I've ever met.
yeah.
um
You know, yeah, sorry.
yeah, no, that's
In a
great.
way, yeah, in a way, I was thinking that it's probably even more difficult to diagnose pets because they can't talk.
Yes.
They can't, you can't ask them, are you having a headache? Where does
Mhm.
it hurt? They'll just growl and they'll just meow, right? And you
Mhm.
handle several kinds of pets or just dogs and cats.
Oh, and if you see something moving, that's Roland coming to make an appearance on the podcast.
Oh,
I have a
really?
feeling
Yeah,
had a
I
feeling he
wasn't
would show
looking.
up at
Yeah,
some point.
please carry
Yeah,
him
so
when he's
let's
when he's
see.
beside you.
Let's
Please
see if
show
we
him.
can
The
there he
audience would
is.
love. Oh,
There he
Roland, how
is.
cute. Hi,
Yeah.
Roland.
He
Wow, what
he's
a
a very
beautiful color. It's like what's the color of Roland? It's like
he's
brown?
all black,
Choc-
but he
Is that
has
black?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a little bit of, like, red highlights in his
Yeah.
fur. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
there's
why
my
he
sweet boy.
almost looks like chocolate. Look at
Mhm.
his eyes. They're
Yeah, he's
staring
great.
into the computer.
Yep.
He's so cute. How old is Roland?
He is 17 years old, so he's an
Oh,
old guy.
wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
he's doing great for 17.
Mm-mm,
So
mm-mm,
he's definitely in his senior years, but
mm-mm.
we're very lucky. He's doing really well for his
Yeah,
age.
yes. So, oh, is he your first pet? I don't think so.
I had pets in my family growing up. We had dogs because my
Mm.
father is actually allergic to cats. So he
Oh,
is one of the first cats that I've ever had, and he was my
mm.
first pet as an adult.
Oh, all
Like my
right.
first pet that I adopted on my own.
Yes,
So
yes.
I
So
have
you
had
adopted him.
him. Yeah, I've had him. He's a rescue cat. I adopted him from a shelter, and I've had him since he was 4 months old. So he's been my
Oh,
buddy,
it's tiny,
my
tiny,
little guy.
tiny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so nice. That's so cute.
yeah.
So, and what do you obviously you like a cat more than a dog, right? Like me.
I love both, but I
All
think I
right.
am a little biased towards cats because I love him
Mm,
so much. Yeah.
yeah. I like cats too. I'm
They're
actually
great.
scared of dogs sometimes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Especially when they're huge and they bark and they're like ready
Yeah.
to attack you. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
sure.
dogs bark at me always.
Mhm.
Like there was one time when we dropped by a friend's house and my sister-in-law went down the car, went to the gate of my friend's house, and there were dogs there. The dogs didn't bark. The
Uh-huh.
dogs didn't bark. As soon as I went down to say hi to my friend, they all started barking. I don't know
Oh,
what's with me.
oh
They say
gosh.
because maybe you love
Ah.
cats so much, but
Yeah.
surely that's not true. I love
Too
cats. I
funny.
love cats. But I know people that are scared of cats also, though.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
true. It's true,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to pull up a picture here, and
Sure.
you tell me about it. That this is yeah, this is what's going on here on the pictures on the left. You're having this is a video I took.
Yes.
I
Yes.
grabbed pictures from the video. What was that
So
about?
this is a video that I was a part of for the grant program I was involved in during my social work master's program. So
Mm-hmm,
we filmed that just this summer.
mm-hmm,
And it was a grant program that helped teach social workers about, we call it an integrated care model. And it's really about
yes.
working with humans. So it's the idea that you can have facilities that have primary care doctors, and social workers and nurses all under the same roof. So if you needed care for your physical body and your mental health at the same time, you could have that. So this
Mm,
was a promotional video for the grant program that I helped shoot. So it was really fun. So the
yeah.
other folks in the picture are one of my professors and two of the fellow students in the grant program with
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice. So, and also let's just go through the pictures first. You have your
Sure.
family here. Yeah. If you
Yep.
notice, the upper left picture is what I used for our poster. And this is Dane. Dane, what's the name of your boyfriend?
Dan.
Dan.
Yep.
We call
Mhm.
him Dan.
I
And
do.
then some friends and family here, and
Yep.
your nephew. Your
Yes.
nephew, right? Yes.
That's actually in the picture. That is, Jonah, who is Dan's nephew.
All
And his
right.
brother Eli is the one climbing the rock in the back, but we love them
Mm.
so much. I definitely feel like I'm part of their family as well.
So sweet.
Yeah.
So you must be a very loving woman, a very loving lady to the nephews of Dan.
I
They
love
must
them
love
so
you
much.
so much. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I see here also that you do projects. You do a
Yep.
lot of fundraisers. Do you
Mhm.
want to pick one and just talk about it a little? How do you do it? Why do
Sure.
you do it in the first
Sure.
place?
So I'll talk about the one on the top right. So outside of veterinary medicine, I love theater and acting, and I am on the board of directors for a small theater company here in Connecticut. And
Wow.
we put on plays mostly for
Excuse
free for folks who might not be able to afford going to see plays and shows
me.
otherwise, and we help bring
Mhm,
plays that are not like normally performed in the US. We help bring that in,
mm.
like a lot of Shakespeare's works. And the gentleman in the bear costume in the top is the founder of our theater company, Tom, who is one of my best friends since high school. So we've known each other for a really
Wow.
long time.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you also perform?
I used to. I was a theater major in college, so I love to act, I love to
Wow.
sing, I love to dance. So that's kind of one of those things that I've liked to
Can
do for
you sing
fun
for us now?
outside.
I'm just joking. I would love to hear you sing, but it's all right. So, but you don't do that anymore. You just
Not right now. I've
not
gotten a
right
little
now.
bit too busy with my job, but I would love to get back into it at some point. Like,
Okay.
so
Emily,
hopefully we'll see.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Emily, when you're at work or when you're in the hospital,
Mhm.
and then you have colleagues that you say sometimes they need help. Is it a
Yep.
formal thing? Like, do they have to go and schedule an appointment with you, or it's just random? You're just there and you go. Do you go around looking at, hey, this person probably not feeling too well, or like what's the setup like?
That's such a good question. It's a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
staff members will reach out to me over email or they'll find me in person.
Mm-hmm.
I have an
Mm-hmm.
office at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like it's no one can see who's inside my office, so it stays confidential.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so sometimes people will request to have an appointment with me. So it'll be like a scheduled thing ahead of time. And also, part of my job is just, like you said, to, kind of walk around the hospital a little bit and see how people are doing. I tend to check
Mm-hmm.
in with our emergency department folks a lot because they see some tough stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we also have an intensive care unit at the hospital, and they can see some
What?
really tough.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we do,
Wow.
we do.
Amazing.
Mhm. So we
Wow,
have
yeah.
nurses that specialize in that, and, um, so I'll check in with those folks fairly frequently because they can see some tough cases too. But
Mm,
folks, I always tell the staff that if my office door is open, feel free to come by and just
walk
knock and,
in.
"Hey, can I talk for a minute?" So it's an
Mhm.
interesting mix of both.
Yeah. So how about the clients when they, excuse me, when they walk in, and do you just approach them? Like, let's say there's somebody whose pet is really on the brink of death. Do they call you, or how does it go? What's the usual? routine? Just so curious.
Yeah. Typically, one of the staff members will let me know what's going on. Um,
Okay.
Either if they're here for euthanasia, or if they're just
Oh.
having a tough time with, an appointment, the staff members can call up to my office or come find me and let me know that this family or this person is really struggling, and maybe
Mm,
could I check on them? Um,
mm.
and then a lot of times, because we're open 24/7, so we
Mhm.
never close. And I'm certainly not there all the time. So
24/7.
sometimes staff will tell me the next day, or they'll send me an email like, "Hey, this person was here overnight and it seems like they're having a
Mm.
really tough time. Could you give them a call?" So
Oh, you
most of
go
the
out of your
time,
way.
hmm
Mm-mm.
so most of the time, it's staff members telling me what's going on.
Mm. Mm-mm. And the clients, they get surprised when you give them a call, pleasantly surprised.
And yeah, usually, sometimes people, like typically the staff members that tell me about the person will let that person know that I might be calling,
Oh,
like,
then
"Hey,
okay.
we have a social
You have
worker on staff. Is it okay if she reaches out to you?" And so they can always say no if they don't want me to call them. All of my
mm-mm,
services are totally up to the client, whether they want me
mm-mm.
to be there during the appointment or during the euthanasia, or because they don't have to talk to me. If they Some people just don't want to talk to a
Yeah,
counselor, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's really valuable what you do. Like I have a good friend whose cat got run over.
Oh.
Actually, it was yeah, my good friend had a daughter, and
Mhm.
that was the daughter's cat, and it was the daughter that ran over her cat. So
Oh.
that was really tragic, and the cat
Yeah.
died. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how, in your experience, how
Mhm.
long do you see a person able to get over a loss of a pet? What's the usual, like
Yeah.
if you see that the person, do they, I have so many questions. Like how long do they usually take to kind of like bounce back?
Mm.
And if they go beyond that, is it like uh do they get diagnosed already as
Mhm.
really depressed, or yeah. Am
Yeah,
I
that
making
that
sense?
all absolutely. That made great sense. Grief can take a really long time,
Mm-mm,
and we there's been some research done that a lot of people grieve the loss of their pet harder than the loss of a human family member.
really?
Mhm, mhm.
Mm,
It's, it's and I see it all the time that people really struggle after their pet passes away, and I get
mm-mm,
it. I've lost pets in my life, and it was absolutely devastating to me.
mm-mm,
So I really just it can vary a lot. Some people kind of bounce back right away. Maybe a lot of times the people that have an easier time after their pets pass are folks that have known for a while that their pet is going to
mm.
pass away. Like maybe their
Okay.
pet has terminal cancer and they've been
Mm-mm,
preparing emotionally
mm-mm.
for it for a very
Right.
long time.
Mm,
It can be a lot harder for folks where the passing was very sudden or
mm,
tragic, unexpected. That can be tough for people.
mm,
I always say, the first year is hard on pretty much everyone. Um,
mm-mm,
and although if I see that they're really, really struggling, like maybe they're calling me a lot, or they can't get through days for weeks on end where they can't stop crying, I will probably suggest that I can give them some information about a counselor outside the hospital that they can go see on a really regular basis, because I know, my schedule is always different day to day, and um I work with so many people that they deserve to have consistent help.
right. Yeah,
Um, yeah.
focused on them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So in your hospital, you don't like. uh, uh, the service you give, or the vocation you give,
Mhm.
does that have to be paid for? Like,
No.
can somebody go there and say, I need to talk to someone,
Mhm.
like a clinic, psychologist or a
Mhm.
psychiatrist's clinic? So that's not like a product of your hospital that they collect fees
Yeah.
for.
That's correct. All of my services
Mm.
are free to clients, to staff. No one is ever forced to come see me. So I really love that about my job,
Mm.
that people
Mm-mm.
can, receive some counseling from me and they don't have to worry about insurance for a little while. They don't have to worry
Mm-mm.
about paying an extra bill.
Yeah, that
I
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's
Mm,
easier
yeah.
on me too because I don't have to work with insurance companies. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, okay, I'm trying to imagine, because it's something that I don't think we have here. But then
Mhm.
again, I've not really been to really huge hospitals. But
Mhm.
there was a time that I had a cat, and the hospital I brought him to was a pretty good. It was a clinic. They call themselves hospital because they're 24/7.
Sure.
They're open 24/7. But I don't know any. I think there's one. Yeah, I think we have one where they offer that kind of service also. So,
Mhm.
okay, let's go to the juicy part, Emily, before I let you go. What are the most don't name names, but like, what are the most memorable situations in your work that you want to share?
So
Like,
yeah,
yeah, like
so I'm
cases, or yeah, or
um
things that challenged you, that affected
mhm.
you, even yourself. Yeah.
Sure, I can share a little bit more of that. I have to keep my clients' cases confidential.
Right, of course.
But in terms of things that have challenged me, I would say um when I experience grief about the patients passing away. Because a lot of times, and this is very normal for counselors, we can get attached to our clients that we work with
Oh,
and their pets.
right, right.
Like, especially if it's an old cat, I'll really experience some of that loss along with the pet owner, and that can be
Mm-mm.
challenging to not, absorb the pet owner's
Mm,
grief,
mm, mm,
and, like, hold space for what I feel as well as what they're going through. Um, because sometimes I will cry in front of clients, not
oh,
often, but,
yes.
if I'm really moved and affected by their pets passing in their story, then sometimes I'll cry, or in the same with working with the staff members, I can, especially if someone's story is very similar as mine that I've gone through, in the
Mhm,
counseling field, we call it countertransference, where the therapist is emotionally affected by the client. It happens
mhm,
a lot. It happens because we're human too. We have feelings. So that's
mm,
been a big part of learning to be a full-time social worker, is being in the presence of lots of emotion all the
mm,
time, and you're
mm,
holding a lot of emotional weight, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that a veterinary social worker
mm.
faces, you know?
I see.
Yeah.
And you're undertaking a program, right? To
Mhm.
veterinary social work.
Yep.
Uh, I'm just curious. Is it, when you do counseling? Is it, do they teach you to hold back, or is it all right? What? Because
Oh,
like
yep.
me,
Mhm.
Emily, I also have, like in our church, we do have, we have a group, we have small groups, and then
Mhm.
there are times when people come to me also, and then they share their problems. And
Sure.
I'm not a counseling expert, but I want to hear from your field.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
do they actually teach you to do? like hold your emotions?
Yeah,
Yeah, give us
yeah,
some tips on
yeah.
counseling.
Um, yeah, that
Just
makes
quick tips.
that's a great question. I think as a counselor, you have to be very compassionate towards yourself and
All right.
really honor your own feelings that come up during a counseling session. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Typically, in counseling programs, they'll tell you to just be careful about the emotions that you show in front of the client.
Mm,
It's
all right.
always, or like what you say about yourself. We call it self disclosure when we tell things about ourselves to a client.
Okay.
I tend to do that fairly often with the staff members because I used to be in a similar work position as them. And since I've gone through a lot in my life, I like to share what's helped me in the past or
Mm-mm,
what's helping me in the present because hopefully it can help them too. And it helps them remember that I'm a human too. Like, I'm not, a stuffy, like, counselor. Like, I'm not
mm-mm,
better than them. I just have a little bit of extra training as them.
mm-mm,
The clients of the hospital I'll hold back a little bit more because they might not need to know a lot about my personal life in order for me to help them.
mm-mm.
I always try to keep in mind that when I say anything about myself, is it going to help the client? And if it's
All
not,
right. Okay.
then I won't say it. And if I feel like it will
Mm,
help them and help their healing, then I'll probably say it. So they teach you
that's a
about
very
that in
wise tip.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very wise, right? You have to be
Mhm.
careful what you say. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they say also that in handling somebody's grief, you never dismiss it and just say, "Ah, it's just a pet." Is that you
Right.
can always get a new one.
Mhm.
Because like us,
Mhm.
like not everybody is a pet owner. And then, you
Mhm.
meet a friend of yours who has a pet, and then you find out that the pet has died. And then sometimes you don't know. I wouldn't know, or I would because I've lost pets. But there are people maybe in our audience watching this, there are people that might not know, which reminds me, I have to put up
Mhm.
something. Let me just show that there. So there
Mhm.
might be people that don't know how to handle that situation. So, what
Sure.
is, give me one thing that we should remember not to say when somebody comes to us saying that she or he lost a pet. What are the don't do's?
That
I'm
is such
trying
a
to get.
thoughtful question. I just love that. Exactly what you said a moment ago about saying to someone, it's just a pet, or you can
Mhm,
just get another pet and that'll help you get over it. Most of the
mhm,
time, though, that is not the case, at least not for
mhm,
a while. So it's
mhm,
very helpful instead to go, that must be so hard what you're going
mhm,
through. How can I be
mhm,
supportive of you? Asking the person
mhm,
what they need in terms of their healing, because some people may want you to come over for dinner and some people may want to talk and cry. But just like you said, to not minimize their loss
mhm,
because it's an
mhm,
animal versus a human. I
mhm,
think people get that wrong a lot. And because they'll say, oh, you could just get another pet. It's
yeah.
just different. Every pet is different. Every bond with a pet is unique. And
Mhm,
a new pet is not necessarily going to fix. There's no fixing. Grief is not something
mhm,
to be fixed. It's
mhm,
not bad or wrong. It's a natural part of being human. Yeah.
mhm. So as you're explaining that, I'm beginning to understand that losing a pet, when you lose a pet, you it can never be replaced. You don't
Mhm.
replace them. You just move forward. You move on.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Mhm.
There's,
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to think that a person can replace someone.
Mhm.
It goes also for humans, right?
Yeah.
Lives are irreplaceable, and
Mhm. Mhm.
uh but you can't stay down forever. You just have to be strong. One last question, Emily. When do you draw the line? When, let's say, there must have been cases where people find comfort in talking to you. So you said earlier that you suggest to them that maybe they need to see somebody who can give them more time.
Mhm.
So when do you draw the line? When do you say, okay, tomorrow when this person calls me again? What are your markers for
Mhm.
telling a person that move to a more serious counseling program?
Mhm. That's such a good question. I haven't had to do that quite yet, except for
Okay.
one instance where I felt like the person just was suffering from symptoms of depression as well as
Oh.
grief, and they can look a
Mm,
lot like each other. But I
mm-mm.
was just concerned that maybe things were heading in a direction where that person might be thinking about hurting themselves. Um, and
Okay.
that's when I start to really say, I think you could use some extra support as well as
Mm,
just me. Um,
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Someone that can help them safely walk into the things in the past that may have influenced how they respond to this
Mm-mm.
loss. Because I, I'm not like if I was a therapist in a private practice, then I could have dedicated time to do that.
Right, right.
But my job
Mm-mm,
is a little different than that.
mm-mm, mm-mm. What a beautiful job you have, and this is more like a calling for you already to
Yeah.
want to really just help people. It's just a perfect combination, animal lover
Mhm.
and people lover, all packaged in Emily. And they are so blessed to have somebody like you there who sincerely loves people and animals as well. So it must take a lot from you, like, so it's a good thing that today you didn't come from work. And you didn't come from work, you came from errands. So how do you super last, sorry, how do
Yeah.
you detox, not detox, but how do you, like, how do you not become depressed yourself? What do you do? What do you do to end, to call it a day? What do you do to call it like, okay, I'm Emily now. I'm this is my space. How do you do
That
it?
that is a fabulous question, and
Yes.
in all honesty, it's something I'm still figuring out, is how
Okay.
to really take care of myself along with
Mm-mm.
caring for others. I would say things that, do help me on a pretty consistent basis, I like having little rituals when in the morning and when I come home from work. So like
Mm-mm.
I'll always put my keys down in the same way and then say hi to Dan and say hi to Roland. I love spending time with both of them. It reminds me
Mm-mm.
that I have a life outside of work.
Okay. Yes.
um, I like to meditate at night, to help me
Mm-mm.
fall asleep. Making sleep is a big thing for counselors. Like a lot of us don't get enough sleep, and we really need it in order for our brain to be fresh. Um,
Mm.
so I love to do yoga as well. So a lot of times I'll do a little yoga in the morning, and it'll kind of help me start my day in a more positive way. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, it is definitely it has been really something I've been trying to work on and figuring out, what are the things that really help me to have a little bit of healthy separation between work and home. It can get challenging
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah. 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 Because, like, if you do this day in, day out, it must be really exhausting. And I'm just wondering how you're able to cope up, like, because usually we bring home our problems, like even
Yeah,
office problems, you bring it
sure.
home. And
Yeah.
all the more with, yeah, with situations of such things with pet loss. So we talked much about losing pets. What are the other
Mhm.
issues? I keep saying last question. It's like I don't want to let you go, but it's already late there, so I won't keep you anymore. And I hope, Emily, that one of these days, not soon, but I hope you can oblige us with a session. I'm thinking that maybe I can have an episode
Mhm.
where we can invite people that might want to hear some counseling from you. Maybe we can do that. Are you agreeable?
Um,
I put you on the spot.
so so I'm actually with the laws of my state, I'm not
Oh,
able to
okay.
provide counseling for folks outside of Connecticut.
Oh,
They're
I
pretty
see.
strict
All
about
right.
that, but,
All right.
where I could see going with that is if they have questions about what it's like or, tips about how to care for yourself while caring for your pet that
Mm,
I can help
yeah.
with.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
So we'll come
yeah,
up with something because I love
yeah.
talking to you. It was so much fun.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna let you go because I know that Roland is right there. I maybe he's hungry. Has he had
He's
dinner too? Yeah,
he
yeah, the
has had
vet.
his dinner for today. He eats earlier than we do.
Yeah.
So, he has his
Okay.
very schedule that he likes to keep in terms of his dinners. So,
Right. I know that
yeah.
about cats, like
Yeah.
I know that about cats and
Mhm.
cuz like yeah, they
Mhm.
really have their set schedules.
They
So
do.
Emily, I really appreciate you and I'm so happy that you obliged us with your time. Sorry, I went more than half hour.
Oh, that's
I think
fine. That's
yeah,
fine.
you're such a lovely person with a really
Oh.
big, huge heart, and the people there are just so blessed to have
Thank
somebody like you.
you.
So I'll say
Thank
bye bye
you.
to you for a bit.
Okay.
Please don't leave the studio. I'm just gonna wrap up and give some
Okay.
reminders.
Mhm.
So thank you so much,
You're
Emily.
welcome. Thank
See
you.
you in a bit. So there, that was such a beautiful interview with Emily Carveth. She's a veterinary social worker. You can see that she's such a loving human being, and it really takes the heart to be able to reach out to people, to understand people. And it's the same. It's the same with us to people. Like I, as a Christian, I am reminded that we have to be sensitive to people around us. We have to not cancel people. We have to be able to see their needs and if I may put in this is just my own personal take that it pays really to be connected with our Lord and Savior, with my Lord and Savior, and with that I will gain the strength and the wisdom to reach out to people because there's so many people that are hurting for their pets, for the loved ones, for any other issues in life. So I hope that her story, the story of Emily, the passion that she has for pets, and her desire to help people inspires you. And stay strong. The year is about to end. There's a lot I know that 2023 will be greater, so we'll be seeing you in a few weeks. With that, I'd like to say thank you for supporting us. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and support our advocacy for responsible pet ownership and gratefulness to God for our pets, creation, and each other. This is Tita Me for Pet Talks TV. Bye bye and God bless you.